Welcome back. The last time I put up a video, it was all about timing the takeoff of an Ollie. And this time I wanted to get into some of the action of what's happening with the takeoff in the Ollie. So there's this really interesting thing that happens when you're watching Ollie, and you'll see that essentially when you snap the tail, when you flick the tail, you're making the board stop momentarily. You're making it slow down so much that your core will get ahead of the skateboard. And this is a really important piece of understanding for the Ollie and just how it works, because it's kind of like vaulting. It's like, if you've ever seen like a pole vaulter, like, they plant the pole into the little cup thing and it bends and then flicks them up over the thing. Or maybe in ice skating, another interesting comparison, like where they pick the toe to help them spin faster into a rotation. These are all really important things. Well, the Ollie actually has a vaulting point and a pick point as well. So we vault the board up off the tail. That's that flick down, so the board will bounce, get that rebound energy, and pop back up, which we talked a lot about that in the last video. But we also have a kind of a pick point. And what we're trying to do is slow the skateboard down relative to our whole body. We're trying to slow the skateboard down so that the board will snap off that tail, our body can get ahead, and then we can use that opportunity of being out in front of the board a little bit to use our legs to pull the board back up underneath us, get that arcing action in the board, and land effectively, stomping that thing down in the center. We wouldn't want to jump back off the tail backwards. We're not just jumping. We are jumping straight up and down, but we've got to work the board underneath us so that we can create that reverse cyclical action of the Ollie. So think of the Ollie, instead of thinking of the Ollie maybe going forward, the Ollie actually works backwards and then comes back to forward. Okay, so here I have one of my friends working on some Ollies for me, and just so you can see this. And he's doing them static. He's not rolling. He's just standing in one spot. But you're going to see as he starts this Ollie, watch the board in particular. It's going to roll backwards. It's really cool when you start to see it. But check this out. So he's starting to pop, and notice he's going straight up. So I'll just draw a line so you can see his direction of travel. He's not pushing forward. He's rising straight up, right? He's going this way. And we're going to watch the board and see if the board works its way this way as he flicks the tail. So here comes the lift of the front foot, and you can already see the board. Look at that. It's already starting to roll backwards. And then as he flicks with the back foot, it really accelerates behind him. Now, one thing to note is that his core is now ahead of the center of where his wheels were, right? So if we take this back and you just look at where he started, he's behind center here on the board. But as he rolls this board back behind him, static, this is what makes static Ollies so hard, is that the board rolls and it always feels like it's going to slip out from underneath you when you're doing them. But you're rolling the board backwards as you flick it naturally. It's just a part of lifting and flicking. You're jumping straight up, but you're moving the board around under your body like a reverse, maybe like a bicycle pedal, like pedaling around this way, right? And there's that cycle. Right now, he's got the front of the board back by the center, that center line, so he can catch it here. This gives him the opportunity to start moving the front foot back to where it started, back to the forward of this line, right? Get it out in front of this line so that he actually gets some of that swinging action of the tail. So the tail will do that whole action where it just whips up this way, right? It's going to start to swing up. He's going to catch it with that back foot, and he's going to swing it back down in the middle. And that's what's going to happen. Really interesting stuff to understand. And then I'll put it in perspective with a rolling Ollie too. But if you watch this one again, here's the setup. There he rises up, board rolls backwards. There's the catch at the nose with the foot back under the center of his body. And look at the angle of that lead legs. Another really important thing we've talked about in other videos, but really important to note that his foot just didn't lift up. His foot swung this way. as he rolled that foot to get in a position to catch the nose of the board. So look at the angle of this leg. That allows the board, the nose of the board, to rise up higher that way. Really important pieces, right? So not only is he pushing the board back, but he's also swinging this front foot back to clear it so that the nose can climb up nice and high. And then that natural action, right, of the catch right here is going to flick that tail up. So watch that real quick here. So there's the catch. You can see his tail start to rise. It slaps into his back foot. He catches with his back foot right there. And notice where he's at relative to that line. He's a little bit closer to where he started relative to that line, right? So driving straight up, his board worked backwards. That creates the pick point and helps with that vaulting action, because when you're rolling into that ollie, what you're trying to do is essentially with that flick, I mean, you're not thinking about it, it's just what's happening. When you flick it down, you're slowing the board down so your core can get out ahead of the board. Let's take a look at that in real time, see what that looks like. Okay, so let's take a look at this ollie. I think this one's in action. He's rolling forward. Here comes the rise and the lift of the front foot. Now watch something really important. Notice again, he's rising straight up, right? He's rising along a straight line. He's not jumping forward towards the nose. That doesn't happen. We don't leap forward towards the nose. That's a misconception, that somehow you jump off your back foot and push your core forward. That doesn't happen, right? What we really do is jump straight up, but we work the board back behind us to get it, and by slowing it down, right? So when we flick, notice his core is moving forward now, but the board is almost stopped. Look at how the board slowed down. So watch it all. I'll just play it through in slow motion for you so you can see it. Board looks like it's stopped. It slows down almost to a crawl or a standstill, right? So here he comes, right? There's the rise. Board starts to slow down right there. And notice that his core gets way out ahead of those back wheels. It's really important to note. So his body's moving forward, but the board has essentially stopped in place. This is such a critical piece of understanding, because if you're just jumping, or you're trying to jump forward, or you're trying to jump backwards, none of those are going to work for you. We really want to jump straight up, and we want to get that flick down, and naturally it's going to be down and back so that the tail will snap down and vault off the ground, but also so the board slows down. But while your body, the inertia, right, that concept of inertia, your body's still going, but you're decelerating the board just a little bit. So the body gets out ahead. That way, when the front foot catches right here, there's that front foot catching. Now the momentum of moving forward against a board that's almost stopped helps raise the tail up. It's a beautiful thing. That whole action is so important to note, that you work the board in a reverse circle, right? So, okay. So the board is going to work this way, back to forward. That's the action, right? So it's that reverse circle. He's working the board back, and then it comes back to forward. So it's working back and forward, kind of in that motion. Okay, so right here, before he starts his pop, right, starts his jump, his core is relative to his body. Here's his core. Here's kind of the center of his stance right in here. That's the alignment, right? Now, as we start to move forward into this, right, that's going to change a little bit. So right there, core is still over the center of his stance, but here's where it begins to change. Right here. See, his core is going right here. Here's his feet, relative to kind of the center of his stance right here. As he moves forward into this, his core moves. Now look at how far forward his core is relative to where the back foot flicked the tail down, where the tail's hitting. The core is well forward of that now. So come back in here. Take a look at this real quick. Now the core has clearly shifted this direction, while this kind of stayed in the same spot right here. Not nearly as far forward. If anything, it's kind of working its way back that way. So here comes the flick. He's going to rise. There's the flick that stops the board. The core is moving forward, 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 all the way to there. There's the catch as the board starts to rise, and it's going to pull that tail, help to pull that tail up through that rotary action around the front foot. Such a cool reality in the skateboard ollie. The skateboarder works the board behind their core to start the ollie. You jump up and you work the board back behind you and bring it back underneath you. So you work it back to front. We don't jump forward and then bring it forward. We literally jump up, work the board back, and bring it to front. Really cool concept. And if you're struggling with ollies in motion, this will help you a lot. Just knowing that. So when you practice some static, meaning you're not rolling, you're just in one spot in your garage, right, on concrete, and that board's going to roll a little bit, note that it's okay for it to roll back a little bit. When you jump, you want that thing to roll backwards a little bit. You want to feel it roll backwards and get used to that. And then you want to catch it and bring it back underneath you, right? So you're throwing the board behind you so you can pull it back underneath you. That helps align everything so that the front foot bumping into the nose, catching the nose, it helps you create that whip around the nose to bring the tail up, to get that nice arcing trajectory of the ollie and land it. So let's take, there's the board almost stopping, but his body keeps going. Board stops, body keeps going. You jump straight up, the board stops, and the body keeps on moving. So hopefully this helps you understand how you're supposed to jump into that ollie. So just another understanding about the pop, right? We're not jumping forward, we're not jumping back, we're jumping pretty much straight up, but we're working the board underneath us through that flick. Really important piece of the puzzle here. Just to note that we work the board under our body through the natural action of lifting the front foot and flicking with the back foot. That flicks the board down and stops it. It helps to decelerate the board so our body can get out ahead of the skateboard, get out ahead of our feet. That way, once we're up in the air and the board's coming off the ground, we're going to be able to use our feet to pull that board back underneath us and stomp down. I hope this helps you understand just a little bit more about how the ollie works and some of maybe the science and physics of inertia and what we're talking about with vaulting and that ground reaction force and how your legs and feet actually work the board under you to control the shape of the flight path, the trajectory and the flight path of the board in your ollie. So if you're getting lots of rocket ollies, this is going to help you fix that. Understanding how this works, how that flick is supposed to work. When you get that board to stop up and you're catching with the front foot at the right point on the nose, you're going to start to get that tail to whip up more. You're going to have to lift your back foot up, of course, to clear room for the tail to rise, but that's going to help you get out of that, nose high, tail low ollie action. And, the cleaner your flick gets, right, and more you focus on jumping before lifting the front foot and flicking, as we talked about in timing the takeoff video, you're going to get a much better action when you put it all together. So once you're taking this ollie from static and practicing the grass or practicing with wheels, with like the skater trainers, awesome tool. Some of you just slip them right over your wheels. You can practice all kinds of ollie tricks and flip tricks and shove its and different things without the fear of landing and having the board roll out from underneath you. Awesome tool. But once you decide to go from static practice, right, and you're taking off the training wheels, so to speak, and the board can roll, now you know what it's supposed to look like when you're not actually rolling forward, and you know what it should look like and feel like. You should feel like that board is getting stopped up behind you so that you can pull it back to front. And that's the feeling you want to go for. Hope this helps. And please, if you like these videos, share all the ollie videos. Let people know that this stuff is out there if you think it'll help them. And again, in the comments, hit me up. Tell me what you guys want to see. I'm trying to make a list of everything I find in our comments, and I'll work through video breakdowns of each one of those. And if you guys have something unique that you want to understand or learn more about, or you want to even have your own video evaluated, send it to me. Let me know in the comments, and we'll connect. And I'm happy to do to focus on your skating as one of our video breakdowns. All right. Hope this helps, and look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thanks.
Our goal is to help you learn how to skateboard and understand more about skateboarding. If this video helped you, be sure to hit us up in the comments below and tell us what you'd like us to focus on for our next video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and then subscribe to our channel and tell your friends all about us. If you'd like to learn more about the United States Skateboard Education Association, please visit www.ussea.us, where you can learn more about how to skate, learn more about helping others learn how to skate, and become a certified skateboard coach.